to spending restraint. This time, the law of the land is the sequester. The president's trying to change the law. This is a law he can't just flick away like some of these other laws that he says he's not going to enforce. The sequester is the law. He can't spend more than the sequester. Second question is, you want to have a continuing resolution, you want more debt for your sized government. I think we need to delay Obamacare for a year. But the president is focused on breaking the sequester so he can spend more, and he wants to raise taxes to spend more. It's a little bit like a teenage boy on a prom date. He keeps asking the same question in different ways, and every time you think he's dropped his focus on the subject he has, and he just asks the same question again a different way. Could we have tax increases instead of the sequester? And the answer is no, no, you can't.
Okay. We'll go to Steve next in Shelbyville, Indiana, independent caller. Go ahead, Steve.
Good morning, everybody.
Hi.
Morning.
Free market doesn't work in healthcare. The insurance companies make money. How? By denying care. I personally experienced that. I injured my knee at work, and then about a year or so later, it's back about 0506. About a year or so later, I injured my knee again, and I went to have an MRI, and Blue Cross Blue Shield wouldn't cover me because it's a pre-existing condition. I had to pay for the MRI, and that wasn't cheap. You know what your biggest fear is, Republicans? You're afraid this law is going to work.
All right. Grover Norquist.
Well, as you know, caller, Max Baucus, who's the Senate Finance Committee chair for the Democrats from Montana, has referred to this as a crack-up, as a train wreck. So the idea that Republicans are afraid that wage and price controls for the first time in 3,000 years of world history are going to work and provide better quality at lower costs, I don't think anybody stays up at night thinking that wage and price controls, and when you weren't denied care, you got the care. If you were in Britain or Canada, it wouldn't be legal for you to go get that MRI that you say that insurance company said they wouldn't pay for. When you have, as Harry Reid, the leader of the Democrats in the Senate, guy from Nevada, he announced today that he wants a single-payer plan, a government monopoly, a post office that runs all the hospitals in the world, in the country, like they have in Canada or Britain or some of the European countries, one big monopoly that makes all the decisions. And when they tell you no, it's no. It's not no, you can go buy it somewhere else. It's no. And that's how they reduce the cost of health care, by telling people that at certain ages, you know, I'm sorry about that knee, you're going to have to live with it because you're too old for us to want to operate on. It's those kind of decisions that the only way the government can keep prices down is to deny care and have wage and price controls. They don't have free market solutions. The reason why computers cost less every year and televisions and other products cost less is because we have free market.
Let's go to John in Glenview, Illinois, Democratic caller. Hi, John.
Hi. Good morning.
John.
I have one comment and two questions. I'm hoping I can get through them. And I'm one of those people. I know that you're not an evil guy, and I've watched, I've seen you a lot, and I believe that you are pushing for policies that you really believe in. So
thank you.
If you try to respond to all three, the first one is the only one that's critical.
Sure.
It has to do with the Affordable Health Care Act, and it's really to point out to the viewers that that about when we say that most people are against or don't like the ACA, I've looked at the percentages very frequently, and it varies, but right now it's around 30% of the people say it's okay. Around 30% of the people think it did not go far enough, which leaves around 40% of the people who think it went way too far, don't like it at all. So yeah, a majority of the people don't like it, but I think it's very dishonest of people, and this is what you did, to point out that most people don't like it, because a very large number of people don't like it because it didn't go far enough.
All right, so John, I'm going to leave it there only because we are running out of time with Grover Norquist, and I want to get in a few more voices. Go ahead.
Sure. Look, you're right. When you look at polling data, you've always got to say, what's the second question or the second thought there? The polling I've seen said people would rather have it repealed than not have it, than continue with it. I think right now we're not into a time when we're about to repeal it today or tomorrow, but we do need to delay its implementation for a year because it's not ready for prime time. It's clearly not working as written. The president admits this. I mean, the president's giving special favors and dispensations to his friends by saying the law won't apply to you, okay? We don't do that in the United States. You know, European monarchies, you know, the kings say, well, the law won't apply to me or my friends or the aristocracy. Well, the heck with that. We have a law that applies to everyone, and if it's not a good law for everyone, then get rid of it. You've seen Congress decide that they are not sure that they and their staff should have to live under the law that they want you to have to live under for your health care. That's not a distinction we make in the United States, and that's why I think that the Obamacare mandates and taxes should go away forever, but at a minimum, let's put them off for a year, find out what the president thinks he's doing, how it's supposed to work, because the president has admitted that for his friends, this plan doesn't work.
Brooklyn, New York. Robert, Republican caller.
Hi, good morning. Like the caller before me, I think he's right. The heart is in the right place, but you're picking up battle with the wrong people. For instance, deflation is part of the reason why everything is going up. You got to pick a fight like with Ben Bernanke, who is deflating the American dollars and let everything go. That's the boogie man in the room. Deflation. I'd like to answer that question. I got one more question for you also. Although the corporation are hiring those minority people part-time and laying them off before they could get insurance covering, it's called shuffling the debt. I'd like you to answer that question for me, please.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Robert.
I think the second one is because of the law, the Obamacare health law has taxes and regulations on certain size companies and people who work a certain number of hours. Companies have been hiring fewer people, and when you ask companies why you're hiring and why you're not, the cost of Obamacare is one of the reasons why unemployment is as high as it is and people are deciding not to hire. But then they're also hiring people part-time. The number of part-time hires versus full-time hires is unusual and appears to be driven by the mistakes in the Obamacare law or the structures of the law, people trying to avoid the heavy costs and mandates of Obamacare. So that does affect unemployment. As to the money supply, you know, we ought to have the dollar worth a dollar, and the government ought to just keep it the same value and stop monkeying around with printing large quantities of it on Tuesdays and Wednesdays.
I want to get your take on a few other topics
Sure, yeah.
here. Max Baucus, the chairman of the Finance Committee in the Senate, and of course Ways and Means Chairman, now I'm blanking, of course, Michigan.
Dave
Camp,
yes,
thank you.
Dave Camp, Michigan.
Dave Camp, traveling around the country,
Yeah.
trying to bring to the forefront the idea of overhauling the tax code. What do you think the prospects are for that happening?
Well, it will happen. The question is, when will it happen? I think it's unlikely to happen as long as Obama's president. Why? Because he keeps saying that he only wants to look at a bill with $1 trillion in higher taxes. And as long as Harry Reid runs the Senate, he said he wants $975 billion in higher taxes, almost $1 trillion in higher taxes. He won't even allow to come to the floor a revenue-neutral reform like Reagan's. So until Republicans take the Senate and Harry Reid is retired as the leader of the Senate, there won't be tax reform because all he wants is a tax increase. And he's kind of, this isn't something he's hinted at. He said this out loud.
Immigration reform. Steve King is quoted on the Huffington Post saying that the Republicans are under a spell when it comes to immigration reform.
Well, immigration reform is important to the country. I mean, we need to back up and remember, when people say immigration built the country, we say it so often, it's sort of like a platitude, but it's true. The reason why we're 300 million people and a world power and a free country is because we're a country of immigrants. We're not all the same color, we're not all the same religion, we do not come from the same countries, we're from all over. We have one thing uniting us, and that's the Constitution. And that's not like other countries. There are other countries where, in Germany, if you're not really German, you don't ever fit in. And even other countries, it can take a long time to ever feel part of the country. You've got the wrong last name or too many vowels at the end of your name or too many consonants in your name. And that's what makes the country great and strong and makes us a world power. It also is the reason why we're growing in population, where European countries are starting to begin to shrink. Japan is looking forward to serious declines in total numbers. China, with a lot of people in China,